Hello, my lovely and beautiful petunias of the world. We are almost close to the end of 2022. Wowza. I'm sure that will not be the first time you hear that, especially with all of the marketing these days. But we got a special, spicy treat for all of you creative folk out there. And what I got in store for us today is a success strategy for creative and intuitive people, just like myself. Because I feel like, one, sometimes I will do this thing, and please let me know if you resonate with this. I'll do this thing where I'll need three drinks to get started. I'll need the right music, and then I'll need to go clean the house, and then I'll need to cook a meal, and then I'll have to finish that meal with presents so that I can chew my food 30 times each bite. And then after stretching for 30 minutes, I can start my day and I can do whatever 20 minutes of work I have been just putting off because I got all of these things I got to do before I get to that one thing. And so, a part of this, I feel like, is the dopamine that we basically make ourselves require because first it starts out with just needing a latte before we start. But then it begins to add on into two things, three things, four things until we get started. And those are just little dopamine hits like, oh yeah, feeling good. Yeah, yeah. But then it comes to the work and we're like, oh my God, this sucks. And then we cut it short or we don't show up all the way or we get bamboozled, bamboozled by a trillion ideas. And wow, thank goodness you're an idea factory. Go sell all of those and make some cash. But it can be really overwhelming and it can actually hinder our ability to create in the first place. Because if we then get into that cycle of feeling guilty or resentful that we aren't acting out on all these ideas, it just builds up in a really harsh way. So maybe you resonate with that. And today's little strategy is with the intention and mindfulness to assist you in building a method that is sustainable. Something that I read recently that really struck the heart chords in some weird, twisted way that I've been aware of for a long time, but it really brought up just like a wow, that is profound. Was if it isn't sustainable, it isn't, I don't even know how they put it, but if it isn't sustainable, it isn't going to last. Like something so simple and so ridiculously just plain, y'all. And it was probably different than that, but truly, if it's not sustainable, it's not going to last. So why would we even try to do something that's insustainable, if that's the correct way to say it? Because we know it's just going to fail or it's going to fold in on itself. And as someone who might be transitioning from the regular social normality 9 to 5 into their own sphere of online work or outside work, just work in general, maybe you just utilize social media to make your work seen by more eyes. That's really what social media is. This could really be helpful. This has helped me a lot. And I fell off the train of it for the last few months. So this is really a great way for me to incorporate it back into my life and to share it with everyone here. And again, if you hear the puppies playing, well, that's our life. And we actually have a third one with us for the week. She's a sweet little Cavalier King's Charles Spaniel. And she's so cute. So, what we're going to need for our discussion today is we will need to one, have our phone calendar or our laptop calendar opened up. I'll be completely transparent. I have no idea how any other phone outside of a iPhone or a laptop such as a MacBook work. That is what I use. If you're an Android person, you are on your own, and I am just so transparent. I got nothing for you other than you applying this information with your own information of using your Android non-MacBook things and doing what you will with it. So that's straightforward as it goes. So thank you for that little slip on in. So outside of the calendars being pulled up, I also want you to grab your journal. So this is going to be a highly interactive. We are actually taking the time within the podcast for you to go through this because one, if you're not going to allocate it now when you're already devoting time to listening to this podcast, are you actually going to do this? And I'm just being honest because my personal experience, when I'm listening to a podcast, that is a precious value of my time. And I really intentionally choose what I listen to and how I use it. I always want to gain something from it, take away from it, whether it's learning something new or interacting with a tool. If I'm not taking something away from it, what's the point? And so I really want you to take something away from this on a very physiology level of feeling the energy shift in your body, writing with your hand physically, using your brain, planning out the year ahead. Like this is going to get deep, y'all. So I hope you're ready because I'm ready for you. So if you're watching the YouTube version of this, I am going to do my best for us to have my calendar shared so that I can actually show you how to do some of this stuff. It's very easy, basic, simple iCal things. But, and I'm not going to go super extensive with it, but just so you can see it, just so you get the flow, you get the drift. So, first and foremost, shake out the body, shake out the upper body if it's safe for you to do so. Close your eyes. If you're watching the YouTube, you see me just shaking my shoulders, shaking my head. You can do this in whatever capacity, even if you're driving, just shake one foot, shake hand, shake your head really easily, and just roll your shoulders around. Oh yeah. Yep, open up the body and close the body and open up the body. Ooh. Maybe do some circles. And take a nice big deep breath. If it's safe for you to do so and your eyes are closed, please keep them closed for a few more moments. You are here in this body during this time when we have so much to be grateful for, where there's so much expansion happening in the world. And regardless of where you stand on the shifts and the changes in the speed, the pace of how certain areas of the world may be growing, just come back to your body. I invite you to set an intention for this time that we have together in this podcast. If there's a word that is coming up for you, or perhaps you wish to set a word into place that will ground you, drive you, lead you to where you want to go, allow it to come up and state it. Know that you are about to embark on a process that is here to assist you in turning thoughts into reality, dreams into a waking moment in your life. Because there's truly nothing more rewarding than stepping into the expanded version of yourself every single day and then watching that self come to real life. And if any thoughts that sound like it never works out for me, I'm never going to go anywhere, or it's too hard and I don't have enough time, or maybe I just don't have the energy for this, anything like that, anything that just feels heavy and dark, cast it aside, throw it away, pretend you're crumpling it up on a piece of paper and you're shooting it into the trash can and you make it like a baller and it's gone and it doesn't exist in your field of energy anymore. And now come back to the word that you said or said at the very beginning. Anchor down into how that feels. What does that word feel like? When someone addresses you with that word in their sentence, their exclamation, what is that like? Paint a quick picture of that moment. When you recognize what that word means to you, what does that look like in your own life when you're initiating on it yourself? Inhale and exhale in and out of the body as you quickly allow that picture to be painted as well. Whatever you can imagine or envision within the mind, it's already created and thus it is real. It has to become real on the physical plane when we are giving it our consistent focus daily. Not obsessive, not controlling, not strangling this, you have to work, not getting rambled jambled up in manifestation and whatever the F that is. It's just simply giving yourself 10 minutes to watch your life expand in your mind, playing out how you would act in certain moments, what you would be courageous enough to do, how you would act, and then what would be the outcome of it. Because when you can play that all out in your mind, and this is scientific fact, you are able to do it way easier in real life. My biggest and best example of this is my current partnership with my boyfriend, and how I would wake up and I would sit in my room for 10 minutes and I would just drop into meditation and I would wonder and explore and create these scenarios in my mind mixed with real life scenarios that we had had and how I wanted them to develop, what I wanted it to be like. When something would happen, how would I want to respond? Or how could I become? How could I open up? How could I lead? How could I receive? And that was the most free and light and explorative and relaxed I have ever been in my life. So just take a big deep breath Slowly welcome in any movements into the body. And we'll come back to the here and now, shake the fingers out or move the body slowly, open the eyes. And now let's get started. Thank you for joining me in that little evolution. The first thing we're going to do is grab the journal. And we are going to start by thinking of no more than 5 goals that we wish to achieve in 2023. And I want these to be goals that you currently do not have, right? Sometimes we can put, oh, I want to do just literally a different version of something we're already doing. That's no fun. And isn't that really going to expand you? I won't answer that question. I'll just leave you to think about it, but think about it. Will that expand me when you are writing down these goals? I'm going to give us 3 minutes on the clock to go through this, and then we will come back together. So, literally, for 3 minutes, there will be silence. And I want you to think of 2 to 5 goals that you wish to tackle this year. All right, our 3 minutes are up, and I will share my five. Yes, five, because that is how I work. I'm just learning about human design, but I am a generator and I love having projects and multiple goals on my horizon, and it fuels me, keeps me going. The more I move, the more energy I have. I'm also a very fiery person, as y'all know. And so, this is what works for me. Just because I said five, if you only had two written down, one, do not change that. Do not do that to yourself. Stick with what you wrote down. So, I wrote down solely from personal training, remote and in person, I want to make upwards of 5 to 10K a month because that would allow me to live the life that I want to live. It would allow me to build the house I want to build. It would allow me to purchase an old, quote unquote, new little truck. It would allow me to care for my dogs, create a savings, give back to different donation centers that are meaningful to me, and to purchase from businesses that I'm in alignment with. So that feels really good. And that is what I mean when we set these goals. Like, why are you setting these goals is also another layer. So if you feel like going back and writing a why next to these, that will really fuel you for taking the steps towards these goals. My next one is living in our own home. A third one, competing in a triathlon. I've wanted to do that since last summer. And I ideally, eventually, want to compete in an Ironman for whatever reason. I think that'd be really fun. However, I've never done a triathlon before. I've been a runner and I've mountain biked and I have swam in high school and growing up, but I've never done all three at the same time. And so that will be a lot of food and a lot of training. And then acting. I want to expand on the acting and modeling aspect of my life and how I can get more involved in that because I've never had so much fun ever than when I was on the North Face photo shoot. Hands down. Best like 2 days of work I've ever experienced that wasn't of my own creation. I love when I give astrology readings. I love training people. I love all of that. But wow, if I ever worked for someone, it would be through acting or modeling, hands down. So, great work. You have your 1 to 5 goals. So, these are anticipated expansion goals, and I want you to write that down somewhere. Anticipated expansion. And the next part of this is for the next 30 days. You're going to put this in your calendar on repeat. It's really easy to do in iCal. So let me demo that really quickly for people on the tube. All you're going to do is you're going to go into your calendar. You are going to go to December 12th or whatever day that you are listening to this on. You're going to go to the little plus sign in the top left corner, and it says create quick event. So you can always go back and edit this, but this is going to be called anticipated, oops, I spelled it wrong, expansion stillness. Just so you're not, if you're someone who's like, I don't like meditation, but you somehow listen to my podcast, because I almost always have us do a meditation, bless your soul for sticking through if that is you. I want you to do this in the morning. Yes, in the morning, because when also grand rising, I'm trying to, I'm actively replacing. You see that I'm catching myself. This is that practice. This is mindfulness in action. I am actively transitioning from saying morning to grand rising on all occasions, even when I feel really strange with strangers or people I know, and they're like, good morning. I'm like, grand rising, just because it's so different and it throws people off track. But think about it. Good morning. What are we mourning? What died? Ah, great. We're starting out the day with that. Bleh. So bad. Our words have deep meaning, y'all. So, grand rising. Wow, we are grandly rising to become who we want to be in this day. Wowza. And so, you're going to time this for the morning. And if you're like, oh, I have work in the morning, go figure you have work in the morning. Do it before, man. Get up and do it. What are you? Thinking this isn't about to be Capricorn season. It's about to get so easy to do this. So set this for any time before you go to work, please. I'm not going to give you a time because I don't know what time you go to work. But if you're like, I need an hour to get ready before work, do it before that hour. Hold yourself accountable. That's what this life is about. There's no easy way, there's no other way but you showing up and doing it. That's this big realization that I've always known, but I'm also having lately, where, hey, you have to actually embody and live this. Because if you're not, you're bypassing your life. Not fun. So you're going to set whatever time you want to do this at. I'm putting mine for 6 a.m. And then that's going to show up. Where's the 12th? At 6 a.m. And then you can go into it, you can edit it, and you can alert at time of event, and then repeat every day. And then it's in every day. That is your plan. Your brain automatically is taking in this information. Hey, we are now going to do this at 6 a.m. every single day. We're going to anticipate our expansion with stillness by daydreaming. And so that is what you're going to be doing. And so place this for 30 days. So if it's the 12th, you'll go out to a month from now. You'll go 4 weeks, first week of January. If you want, you can go ahead and like stop it, or you can just challenge yourself to keep it in here for eternity. Nah, I would end this maybe a month or a month and a half from now. And then you can delete all future events from the date that you delete it on. So very easy to work with. And that is going to be a huge process we use for this calendar. So that is the anticipated expansion part. And then we're flowing right into the brain dump of all of these ideas. So I'm going to only give us 5 minutes, just so I'm not making this podcast an hour long, but this will at least get you to come back to it. Well, it might be an hour long, anyways. Who am I kidding? But 2 hours long. It won't be 2 hours long. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to write down in our journal, or if you're someone who wants to write this in a Google Docs or a reliable and saves as you go document on the computer or in your notes, that is okay too. I understand. I'm a paper and pen person, and I know that it's redundant to write it down on paper and then to put it in the computer, but I feel like that helps my brain out a lot more. And then I do things twice less often, believe it or not. So now we're going to write down each of those goals in our journal with space in between them, 4, 5, 6 lines, maybe more. Maybe you want to give them a page. This is where doing it on the computer can be handy because you can just keep pressing enter or return. And we're going to brain dump every single thing that comes to you when you think about, how do I make this happen? What needs to happen to get to this goal? What needs to happen in order to achieve this? And so you'll write down acting. What are all the goals that I need to do in order to get closer to landing my very first acting gig? And then, boom, write it all down. So we're gonna have 5 minutes on the clock. If you want to have your own timer start for 5 minutes, then you can give yourself at least a minute per goal if you wrote down five. And then you can divide that up in your own brain however you want if you did less, like two goals or one goal or three, which isn't less, it's just however many you did. So we will start in three, two, and one. You have about 2.5 minutes left. All right, our 5 minutes are up. I hope that you are able to brain dump and let all of your creative ideas out. Anything practical, anything that was like, oh, well, maybe this could work. And now we're going to draw on our piece of paper. If you're looking, I will show you on my own journal, but on a clean sheet of paper in your journal, you're going to draw a line to add 12 lines, like one line across your paper, the hot dog way, so that you can put 12 little lines to symbol the months. That took me a little while to think about. So I have my beginning circle, that's one, and then I'll draw my line across the paper, make an ending circle, that will be 12 for me, just so I have that, and then I will put my 10 other dashes in between. And so we can look at the year ahead in a broader perspective because one, you are a creative and intuitive being. So I'm not going to force you to do something logical and strict and reserved and very abrupt. Yes, I want you to have self discipline in the sense of you are going to show up for yourself because you care about your passions, just as you would care about what a boss thought of you when showing up for work. Because if you are not going to show up for yourself the same way you show up for work for a boss, someone outside of you, what are you doing? That's rule number one. So if you're going to show up late, or you're not going to put in the effort that you want to put in, or you're not going to see that your effort is where you gather your successful feeling, the achievement, the goodness, where you feel like, I did right today. I did good. I stood by my word. If we're not doing that for ourselves, hold the phone. We got a lot to work with just in that. But if you're past that to an extent, then wonderful. I really want to pinpoint that out because that was a big part of my journey that I just had to be hit in the face with a couple times, if not a few or a handful. So, with this little list of our lines, let me just draw mine out here so I can keep rolling with y'all. And so that we're all on the same track, I'm letting my Mercury in Virgo not get crazy on me because I want to count out all these lines perfectly, but it's just not going to happen. So some have 3 spaces, some have 2. It's okay. We're going to survive. All right. So here it is if you're watching the YouTube. Very beautiful and basic. But now you will go ahead and just sit with this. Wow. 12 whole months ahead of me. Dang. This is wild. And you don't have to put everything you wrote down here, but again, underneath the numbers, you can put the month's name just so you see it in that way too. But you could at least put where you'd like to achieve these things by. By what month would you like this to start happening? Because honestly, being new in Reno, not knowing many people, and just starting out at a gym where right now they are doing a construction job. So the gym is shut down for all of December, which makes my 25 days of mindful movement series on YouTube a wonderful way to see how I work and train. It kind of doesn't help me in my goal of reaching 10K with personal training clients. That's just not happening in this very moment. And that's okay. So we're bringing realism in with expansion. So this is the reality, but I'm not going to focus on the reality because yes, I've put out flyers and I've communicated with people and I post about it often and I promote it. And I'm going to hold this future idea of yes, the gym will reopen and this will happen, and I'll start teaching group classes, and then I'll receive my clients, and la 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 la, and it will all bloom. So, what month do I anticipate this happening by realistically? Well, maybe it doesn't happen until March or May, maybe April. That's okay. So, whatever your goals are, I just want you to give yourself a moment to at least with one of them. You can always come back and finish this extensively. Give yourself a full hour devoted to you. You deserve it to complete this. But at least do one if you do have more than one goal that you are um, strategizing for. So maybe I put down, by April. I really feel that April is the month that this is gonna take off. Knowing the things that I know logistically, realistically, with my collaboration with this gym. So that's awesome. So I have 4 months to get to that point of 10K. Awesome. Now I can plan what am I going to build up to that point. So out of these ideas that you've listed, we're now going to categorize them. And how we're going to do this is in 3 different ways. So you have to go ahead and just write down which month you want to correlate with what goals. Maybe they happen the same month, maybe they don't, whatever works. And then, so just like showing y'all what that looks like. Looks like that. Boom, April over the 4. Put 10K on the top. And like, oh, that makes me really excited. That makes me giddy. I chose this one to talk about. Between the acting and this one, they both make me feel ooh to talk about, especially this 10K one, because it's like, wow, I'm admitting to my audience that I want to make that much money. What are they gonna think of me? Are they gonna think that I'm X, Y, and Z? La la la. But you just need to slow down. Remember, you're human. Your wants, needs, desires are okay and allowed, and there's enough room for everyone to have these very high desires and not feel ashamed for it because it is just what is. And so we're going to go back to our brain dump page where we brain dumped our ideas. And even if you're not done, we'll go back to it. And you're going to write down 3 different categories. So the first one is consistent ideas. So the ideas that you are going to consistently be applying through this year, through this journey to make your goals happen. And I'm just writing this down so I can show you on the tube as well. The second one, you're going to list as one-off ideas. And make sure you have room in between these to write. And then the last one isn't necessarily a place for what you have written down now, but it's a place for later on because this is very important and this might be the most important part of this. It's your ability for that thing to happen and for you to celebrate it to the nines. Celebrate yourself when you succeed. Train yourself that when you put yourself into situations where you have to be brave, and then your bravery, fulfills a desire that you have succeeded. Boom, that is success. Success can be anything. It can be different for everyone. Most people, how it's been painted is that success is material things and great wealth and a 9 to 5 job or being a CEO where you never sleep or see your family. And I just don't jive with that. I just don't. I like to take probably 2 or 3 months of the year doing not anything but exploring, traveling, meeting new people, having fun. And I really desire to get to a point in my life where I'm making money, yet I can go out and live life because what is a life unlived? I don't know. Boring? A waste? That's all different for everyone too. So, celebration is the third step. And what you're going to just quickly do, we'll set a timer for 3 minutes. I'm so sorry that I keep tripping and stumbling on my words. I will admit that my partner's been sick and I've been really good about my immunity my immune system being strong enough to not catch his illness, getting down with the sickness. But I got down with the sickness yesterday and I knew it was coming. I foresaw it on the horizon. My fault completely. And I also started my menstrual cycle yesterday, so I am doing my very best to be here in the moment with y'all. And so I might sound stuffy and I'm a little in and out, but I'm here for it. So we're going to categorize our ideas for at least one. So we'll do this for each of them. You'll do that for each of them in your own time, but we'll do it for one together so you know the gist of it. And so write down consistent ideas, one-off ideas, and celebrate. So let me give you a few examples. How often do you do consistent ideas? So maybe you are using online social media as a means of marketing because it is free marketing, honestly. And you want to do reels and TikToks. Well, let me share a little insight. If you're just trying to bust out TikToks and reels every single day, you're going to get brain effed because your brain, uh, it can take so long, right? And if we don't set up properly to create these TikToks and reels and things, or not using them in one media platform and applying them to another, wow, it can just take up our entire day, and we don't want that. So perhaps you set aside one day a month, one full day where you wake up, you create all the reels and TikToks you need. You get a outside app to create your videos in with the captions if that's what you do, however you do it. And then you save that so that you can put it on a multiple places without the little watermarks being on there. I have not figured out how to get the watermarks off without doing it that way. So if you got that tip, let a girl know. But that is one example. So you have one full day committed. And yeah, of course, if you got some downtime or you're traveling or you have a really great idea just come up like that, follow it. You're intuitive. That's literally a part of applying this practice. It's like getting the base done, right? Like the base will sustain you, and then the extras are just like toppings on your gelato. Who doesn't like toppings on their gelato? I don't know. Crazy people. Not that crazy people are bad. I'm crazy. So, an example of one-off ideas in quotations could be calling XYZ about this. And so maybe for acting, that is calling someone that I communicated with, worked with during the North Bay shoot to see if they have any insights or ideas or leads, if they have the time, for me to get seen in a bigger way. That could be one way. It's like I'm gonna do this one time, and then it might lead and open to other doors. And that is where you take notes of what you need to add in for your upcoming calendar, and we'll get to that. So let's give us 3 minutes on the clock just to organize one section of this. And we'll start in three, two, and one. Oh, before we start, when you celebrate, think about how you want to celebrate when you do achieve that goal. Literally write down, I want to go eat sushi and get wasted on sake. Whatever you're feeling. All right, go. All right, we're back with continuing on. Oh, this is so exciting. I hope you all are having some fun with this. This is great. So now we have something that is going to put this into action. So we will be filling out 1 month. I will not be doing this with you because this will take a good amount of time. And I cannot walk you through this entirely. But what you're going to do is you're going to think about, of course, if you have work, you're going to schedule work into your calendar. And this is where it gets a little bit different for everybody, excuse me, which is why I'm not going to go through this with you. But say that you have a job, full-time job. Great. I want you to go into your calendar. So again, I will share my screen on the tube. I'm sharing. Great. And we're going to go into here. And where are we? I don't know where we are. Oh, we're right here. No. Oh, we're in January. That doesn't help me. I just need to go back to where we are today. All right, now I can think straight. Beautiful. So, whatever time of day you're listening to this on December 12th might not be the day to start. So maybe you start on the 13th or whatever day that you are listening to this podcast too and strategizing. Because even if it's in 2023 and you're listening to this, great, get started. Like, let's go, people. There's never a too late to do this date. It's just like, when? When are you going to start? So, 6 a.m., anticipated expansion, stillness. And then maybe 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., excuse me, you have a wow, that was an ungodly cough. Bless my soul. From 7 to 8, maybe you want to do a 15-minute yoga practice, EFT tapping, and journal. Whatever combination you want to do. Hang on one more time. Wow, that was so bad. I'm so sorry. I can't control those ones, but I highly recommend that before you go to a different job where you're working for someone else, you are giving yourself the time of day to give yourself nourishing practices that are going to help you. So maybe you're in the healing phase where you're doing self development work, healing, meditating, journaling. And I don't think there's any stop date to these things. I do these things every day. I'm always healing. But maybe you're also someone who wants to work. Maybe you're going to work at 8 or 9 o'clock. From 7 to 8, you work on your own business. You set up the website, you make the email list, you make the workflow, you send out emails that you need to send, whatever. But you start to systemize. And so you can even begin, you can look at it from that point of view for one day. I'm so sorry. But, and if that seems like too small for you, you can also look at it from a month view. And so you could look at the next month and you could say, okay, I want the first Monday of the month to be my video making day, my content creation for Reels and TikToks. And then you're going to figure out how many of those you need for the month as your base to help you stay sustainable. And you're going to plan them out. You're going to plan exactly what they are. You're going to have a theme for the month, maybe. Like December is mindfulness for me. And so my content is catered around mindfulness. I have the 25-day series out and I am going through multiple practices, and my content is around mindfulness. And so that can help also. Having a theme. What are these things about? What ideas do you want to share and educate about? Boom. Then say you need to make at least 30. Well, pretty easy to come up with 30 different ideas and be very specific for content. Just a little tip there. And so that would be for consistent ideas, picking days that you can bulk create if that is the way to do it, or how whatever it is that you need to do. Maybe setting certain days that you check email and then allotting an amount of time to check your email. Maybe it is having, like a networking event scheduled in. I guess that would be more one off, but maybe you do a weekly gathering. I'm a part of a weekly business babes gathering. We show up every Thursday and we co-work and mingle and do all those things, and it's really beautiful. And so that's another idea. And so just start to look bigger picture. And then I want you to go in and just like we did for the anticipated expansion stillness practice, I want you to go into your calendar and schedule the time for all of these things. So maybe the kind of person you are, and you got 3 good hours of work in you. Baby, you make those 3 good hours of work for you. Do not do what I do because I'm a spaz crazy woman and I love diving in for an hour, finishing, diving in for an hour, finishing. And maybe it takes me a little bit longer, no sweat. I just push off my calendar and I don't add on to it until all those things are finished. And so that is that idea. And so you're going to go in and you're going to create a monthly plan. And it doesn't have to be super crazy intact or like specific, but the main things that I want you to schedule are your consistent ideas, your rest, at least 1, if not 2 days of doing absolutely nothing work related for your mental well being, going out and doing something fun, and the dates that you anticipate your goal to be achieved. So, coming back to the journal where we wrote out this timeline, you'll come back to this journal along with this filling out of the online calendar. Set alarms for these things. Make sure that you get notified because if you're not getting notified, this calendar doesn't make any sense. So, whether you need to write it on paper, like I have my big calendar, I write stuff there and then I put it in here. And then I'm going to just make sure, like, okay, by the 10th of April, I want to have, or the 10th of April, by April, I want to be able to make 10K a month consistently with personal training. Okay, so I know that I am going to be really diving into my brain dump on that goal and scheduling that more than the others, perhaps, and really dialing in new ways I can figure that out. Maybe ways that I can just build repertoire, rapport. Oh my goodness. I can build rapport with these people, so forth and so on. So that will be that. And that is the gist of it. So after you fill out 1 month, this is the next step. I hope that this is all aligning and making sense. We're almost done. Yeah. So scheduling rest, 1 to 2 days of doing nothing, making sure you're knowing when your big goals you are due by, the tasks that you are going to implement by that time, and then just letting the doors open, scheduling as you go, moving things around, just really relying on this thing to keep you consistent and to detach from your brain's energy output. Because the brain, when it has to change gears all the time, that takes a lot of work. And when you can just wake up at 5 a.m. and go, boom, I drop in anticipated expansion stillness. Let's go. Hallelujah. And so you're going to do this for up to 3 months if that is the kind of person you are, or you're at least just going to fill this out for 1 month. And with this, if you just do the 1 month, dealer's choice, because we all operate differently, I want you to put a reminder in your phone for 1 week or 2 weeks before that next month comes so that you can fill out your calendar again and perhaps even tweak it from the feedback that you've received over the last 2 weeks. But for real feedback, wait at least a month. So maybe apply the same schedule again if that worked for you. And trust, surrender, receive. Yeah, that's all I got. That was our 2023 strategy for creative and intuitive beings. I hope that you enjoyed it, that it made sense for you, and I can't wait to hear if you implement it and how it works. I'm noticing that I really love like strategy and how system of processes work. So maybe that's something that I will be diving more into for 2023. 2023. Yep. Yep, that's right. But until then, we'll see. So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Please share if it gave you some valuable content. Yep. And I can't wait to see you next time.